out about it and develop themselves, and it just began to spread wider and wider.
So when you say it helps you to speak, are you talking about speaking fluently without stuttering? What are the areas of focus?
I'm glad you said that. Fluently without speaking, without stuttering, yeah, that's one, because as a part of every meeting, we have something we call an R counter. So a lot of times people get crutches, you know, R,
yes,
right, you know, and we count the R's and some grammatical errors that you make. So it helps you to speak fluently and not use those crutches. You're laughing like you're
It's very interesting. I probably should join that Toastmasters Club. I've heard about it though. I'd like to welcome into the conversation Mr. Parejo. How long have you been with the Toastmasters Club?
I've been in Toastmasters for 3 months.
3 months. What led to this?
Well, my friend, a good friend of mine called Asenath McEwen, sort of cajoled me into entering. What I liked about Toastmasters was the leadership element, because public speaking is a part of Toastmasters, but it's not the only part of it. Basically, they teach you management, time management, organization, making up of minutes, how to hold a successful meeting, how to be succinct, how to be more or less to the point, and basically general leadership. The speaking part of it, as I said, is just a minute part of it, yes. And it shows you how to articulate what it is you want to say in a more professional manner. And that's what I love about it, because of my profession.
Okay, what is your profession?
I'm a police officer.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh,
yeah. Wonderful. Now, Mr. Guy, what are some of the techniques they recommend or they employ in order to enhance your ability to speak?
Once you join a Toastmasters Club, there are 2 tracks. One is the speaking track, the other is the leadership track, as Marlon was alluding to. The speaking track, it takes you through 10 speeches. The first one is the icebreaker. You know yourself better than anybody else, so you should be able to speak about yourself. But then it builds gradually, and it starts with a module where it says, your body speaks, or vocal variety, using research, using PowerPoint presentations. And it builds all the way up to 10th speech, which is an inspirational speech. So all the techniques, 10 basic techniques, really. You can expand on that as you go along. And as you are developing yourself and delivering the speeches, you're being evaluated. So you have other Toastmasters giving you friendly criticism, I would use that, friendly criticism for growth and development. So 2 of the basic fundamental principles of a Toastmaster meeting or the Toastmaster group is evaluations and mentoring. So it helps, we are building each other by speaking, actually doing it, not in a formal classroom setting, but in a friendly environment where you can learn and grow.
Oh, no pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
Why did you decide to join Toastmasters?
I wanted to get into motivational speaking. I do a lot of health and safety training with a company abroad, and I just wanted to get better at speaking. And when I started some programs that we started along the lines of leadership, I felt that it was necessary to get better at speaking in a specific area. And I started developing myself, reading. I heard Les Brown said the average American reads 1 book a year. So in 5 years, he would have read 5 books. So they encouraged us to read 1 book a month. So in 5 years, you get 60 books. But then they said, push yourself a little bit further, try reading 2 books a month. In 5 years, you have 120 books. And that just encouraged me and inspired me to start reading and developing myself, to give my story and help others find their own potential and build and develop themselves.
So you have been reading a lot?
A lot. And it becomes a lot easier now with the YouTube and these e-books.
Yes.
When I'm driving in the car, I just put a book on. So sometimes I get 4 or 5 books for the month without having to actually sit and read a physical paper book. Although the paper book is really good, you know, it's really good. But for use of time, when you're driving, put a CD in, put a DVD in, or just put on an e-book and make use of that time.
Great. So you spoke about 2 aspects. You spoke about the actual leadership side of things, and you spoke about that ability to speak and project a little bit more. For you, Mr. Parejo, how valuable was that leadership aspect of it?
Quite valuable. The reason I joined the Toastmasters is for a plethora of reasons. And if we went up in a Toastmasters meeting, people would be applauding for my use of the word plethora. Absolutely. But the purpose is this. I want to be appreciated for what I can do. I want to be appreciated for who I am. And saying that Toastmasters is where leaders are made, which is the Toastmaster motto, as it were, I want to be able to define myself, not necessarily by how society defines me. Because, unfortunately, society defines persons with disabilities as being somehow inadequate, somehow below. At the end of the day, and I always talk about it all the time, is that I define me, nobody else defines me. I want to be able to know, I want to be able to show myself and other persons with disabilities that they can do whatever they want to do. And sometimes people say this just because it's a nice thing to say. You can be whatever you want to be, you can do, but they don't really mean it. I am telling you, if a blind person wants to be a prime minister of this country, go ahead. And Toastmasters gives you that roadmap leading to it. So with the respect to leadership, it teaches you how to time your speeches. It teaches you how to time segments in the meetings. I'm sure you've been in meetings where it's so long that you're considering suicide because it's so long. Some people need to understand is that the more succinct a meeting is, the more people are able to gather out of it and use it adequately and efficiently. Nobody wants to hear go drone long over and over and over and over and ramble and then spend all day and then eventually you accomplish nothing. Then there's the grammarian teaching you basically how to use word endings, because we say and instead of and unless you work at rotoplastic, it's thanks and not tanks. And these things, and sometimes you are on television like I am now, and you will use these words and people go like, oh my gosh. Sometimes you hear people speaking, they're like, ugh. And you're trying to get that, ugh. So I want to be able to do all of that, become more well-rounded and cause other persons with disabilities to do the same. I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes you go into a bank and as a person with a disability, and they will treat you a particular way, not because you have a disability, no, but because of how you project yourself. If you come there all timid, they're going to treat you like that. So they'll ask you, you want to join, you want to open an account, they'll ask you, is your mother with you? I'm 38, come on, let's be realistic. But when I walk in and I speak with that sort of confidence that they have no choice but to treat me as who I am, a person with a disability.
Mr. Guy, you should have Mr. Pariho on your motivational segments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why he's the prompt speaker.
Yes, great. So we talk a little bit about that. So I understand that Mr. Reginald Guy will be representing Trinidad and Tobago in the prepared speech part of the regional competition. What is that all about, the prepared speech part? So you actually prepare something, you would have gotten a topic already?
No, you choose your own topic. So what the clubs do every year, we have 4 competitions. One is a prepared speech and table topics, and the other is a humorous speech and an evaluation program. For the prepared speeches, you prepare your own speech. There's a competition at the club level. The winner of the club level goes to the area. The winner of the area goes to the national, which we had recently, and the winner of the national goes to the district. There are several districts. The winner of the district will go to the world champion of public speaking. That speech, it's all up to you. Decide however you want to prepare that speech. But in most cases, you have people using some of their experiences, motivation, trying to elevate someone in some way. I think that's the most successful speeches. Those that has an element like Marlon was speaking, encouraging people, encouraging people to do better with their lives.
So this competition takes place on May 17th?
May 17, 18, 19 is the conference. I think the competition itself is on the 19th.
Wonderful. Now, Mr. Parejo, you would be doing the very challenging aspect of this thing. It's the impromptu speech. Why did you decide to challenge yourself like that?
Well, first of all, at the national level, I participated in both competitions, both the inspired, both the prepared speeches and the table topics. I just happened to win the table topics part of it. But the reason why I embrace it is because I know I like a challenge. I don't like the run-of-the-mill thing. Pulling things out of the air is sort of my thing. So I'm thinking, once I educate myself enough, basically about Haiti, about anything, you can pretty much speak on it. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in it. You basically have to just employ the techniques within the Toastmasters model. And the table topics is speech is 2 to 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
So they ask you the question, you have to basically formulate the answer in your mind and bring it together, transition your points on the fly, come up with a wonderful introduction and a powerful ending.
Wonderful.
There's nothing that brings the blood to boil.
Well, let's do some blood boiling this morning. I'm closing 30 seconds. What are your closing comments?
Me or?
Yes, yourself, Mr. Pariho.
My closing comment is this. Whilst I was walking along Saddle Road heading here, I heard a man sitting down on the ground say, that man there is definitely walking by faith and not by sight. I basically would like to say that anyone, whoever you are, can join this club and be so much more than they are now. The only person who defines you is you. I do not care if you're black, white, green, orange, born an orphan, have to live in Laventille, live in Westmont, it doesn't matter. You decide who you are. All you need to do is employ the tools and be the best that you can be.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And Mr. Guy, what are your closing comments?
My closing comments would be my favorite quotation by Albert Einstein. And he says, your imagination is a preview to your reality. And in my book, what he's saying is that the level of success that we achieve in life is dependent on how much we can dream possible for our lives. So people out there, dream.
Dream big.
Yeah,
wonderful.
big.
Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you so much and congratulations. You will be representing our country and represent well.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We take a short break, a whole lot more when we return.
Hurricane season begins officially on